Hello and welcome, fellow digital soldiers, to True Reporting. It's the 12th of December, and on today's podcast, we have a great article for you here today, coming at us from Zero Hedge. We can see here, 2019 was a year of global unrest, and 2020 is likely to be worse. Well, of course it is, because the DS, in the kill box is going down, my friends. It is going down in real time, and the truth is being pushed out into the open. Normies are waking up. People are turning off their televisions and turning on great podcasts like this, my friends. Before we get into today's podcast, though, would you please welcome my sponsor, Noble Gold. Hey guys, Thomas from True Reporting here. Did you know that gold is up 18%? That's right. It's been like that since the month of June, and we all know why. It's because Trump is relentless against the Federal Reserve. We know that our money is not worth anything unless it's backed by gold. So why not back your 401k or IRA with gold and go to Noble Gold and tell them Thomas sent you from True Reporting. You call this number 1-877-646-5347 and tell them Thomas sent you, and it'll be worth your while. Thanks, guys, and enjoy the podcast. All right, my friends, it's good to have you aboard. Before we get into today's podcast, would you please go ahead and subscribe to my backup channel, True Reporting 2.0. I cannot emphasize this enough. Today, we just found out that Space Shot 76, his entire channel was demonetized for, and quote, hate speech. So, guys, censorship is in full force right now. Please subscribe to True Reporting 2.0. Please go to the Patreon and support this channel, because it could not be here any day. You know what I'm saying? This could happen to any channel out there. We're doing the very best we can to bring you the most important news to possibly ever hit America and in an entirety, my friends. So, guys, please do your part as we do ours. You can also please go ahead and click the notification bell, so when I do post to this channel, you will be the first to know. And finally, guys, would you please go ahead and click the like button? The more likes that this video receives, the more times it is recommended to other viewers, thus more eyes on the truth. With that being said, my friends, let's go ahead and hop into another great podcast. This is True Reporting. Again, from Zero Hedge, 2019 was a year of global unrest, and 2020 is likely to be worse. It says here, 2019 may as well go down as the most disrupt year in global politics since the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the subsequent implosion of the former Soviet Union. However, the likelihood is that 2020 will be worse and bloodier. Conditions that spawned global unrest on every continent in 2019 are unlikely to recede. Rather, they are likely to worsen in the face of a slowing global economy and little sign of causes of disaffection being addressed. Washington as disruptor. In a word, the world is in a mess, made more threatening by the retreat of the Trump administration from America's traditional role as a stabilizing force. Well, it's retreating because it's not more of the same. It's not part of this dark, deep state, my friends. This is what we are doing. We are seeing a change. And it says here, President Donald Trump has moved the U.S. far away from its traditional role of global stabilizing force. Absolutely, because we're the piggy bank. No more of people stealing from our great nation. We're not stealing from the taxpayers, right? We're not going into these Paris Climate Accords that are all BS and lies. We're not doing that anymore. America first, baby. If anything, Washington is a disruptor in its abandonment of international agreements. These include the Paris Agreement on climate change and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Previously, the Trans-Pacific Partnership aimed at liberalizing Asia-Pacific trade. The U.S. has also withdrawn from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, that froze Iran's nuclear ambitions. All these things seem legitimate to me. I don't find them to be bad. I find them to be very productive for America. Washington's defenestration of the JCPOA and its reimposition of tough sanctions on Iran has further destabilized the world's most volatile region. Oh well, boo-hoo. All this and more, including an unresolved trade conflict between the US and China, which I guarantee you will be resolved in the meantime, right? Virtually guarantees 2020 will stretch the sinews of a fragile global order, and involving US-China technology war and risk of technological decoupling add to the gloom. I find this article to be very negative. I don't know what Zero Hedge is talking about here. Have they not been paying attention how we have become the #1 economy in the world, that we have the strongest military in the world, that people are actually making more money? Our wages have gone up. So what is he talking about? What are these people talking about? Is this another Drudge Report? I mean, that guy totally went against POTUS now. So, I mean, what's going on here? Are we starting to see who's actually pro-America, pro-Trump, and now we're starting to see who's a shill? Maybe so. Maybe so. The world is in worse shape than during the GFC. The global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008 was a period of intense uncertainty as a global financial system buckled. But for the most part, that distress was confined to governments, boardrooms, and the offices of the international lending institutions. The GFC did not fuel widespread global unrest as a shell-shocked financial world came to terms with the reality of a regulatory framework that had failed. In 2019, the story has shifted dramatically. Mass protests over the skewed benefits of globalization, accompanied by a faltering confidence in a democratic model, are challenging the assumptions on which a Western liberal capitalist system has rested. Local grievances are fueling protests against an established order in places as far apart as La Paz in Bolivia and Beirut in Lebanon. Endemic corruption is looming larger. If there is a defining issue that is driving popular unrest more or less across the board, it is that people do not feel that they are sharing the benefits of an extended period of global economic expansion. Oh, well, we're doing it here. We do it in America, and then we sell out, right? We sell our products outwardly, right? We're not bringing things in. We're taking things out because we're the big dog now, guys. We are a powerhouse. America is back, baby. In January, Oxfam reported that the world's 26 richest individuals owed as much wealth as the poorest half of the global population. Billionaires grew their combined fortunes by $2.5 billion a day in 2018, while the relative wealth of the world's poorest, $3.8 billion, declined the U.S. by $500 million a day. A rich-poor gap is widening across the world to the point where it is no longer possible to argue that an economic growth model that advantages the few is lifting all boats. Inequality and anger. Something had to give. Professor Henry Carey of Georgia State University acknowledges differences in causes of localized unrest now sweeping the world. Of course, this is coming from a college, and we all know what they push. But he also identifies shared characteristics. He writes, each protest in this worldwide wave has its own local dynamic and cause, but they also share certain characteristics. They're fed up and rising inequality. Corruption is slow economic growth. Our economy is booming, so I don't know what they're talking about. Angry citizens worldwide are demanding an end to corruption and the restoration of the of the democratic rule of law. I agree, it is corrupt. These people are thieves. They are criminals. Get them the hell out. Carey makes the useful point that as the world becomes more urbanized, overcrowded cities are staging points in a global wave of unrest. Well, that's where you see more liberalism. That's where you see more people on welfare and more people out of jobs are in these big cities because their government is ran by trash. This is what you see. Think of New York. Think of San Francisco. Think of Seattle. These places are going under because of how it's ran by their government officials. This is just facts, guys. It says here in 1950, there were only 2 megacities with populations of 10 million or more. The New York metropolitan area and Tokyo today, there are 25 such megacities. Of a world population, 7.7 billion people, 4.2 billion of them, or 55%, live in cities and other urban settlements. Another 2.5 billion will move into cities in poor countries by 2050, according to the United Nations. Oh, okay, so I'm just going to believe the United Nations. They're not corrupt. They don't hate POTUS. They don't hate America. They are getting slush funds from everywhere around the world. I do not believe them. This article is very biased at this point, but it just goes to show you who's pro-Trump, who's pro-America, and who's pro-shill. In other words, poverty, gang crime, drug trafficking, and all other ills associated with an impoverished urban environment will become less manageable as overcrowding gets worse in cities, and parts of which have become urban slums. That's all due to government-ran places. This is what they are. Government-ran facilities, government-ran buildings and places of living. This is what happens when you have corrupt individuals who don't care about humanity. All they care about is money, money, money. They don't care who dies and who lives. Ignored by the municipal government, overcrowded urban settlements usually lack sanitation, clean drinking water, electricity, healthcare facilities, and schools. Hey, who created ghettos, right? Who created that? Oh, right, the Democrats did. They want to separate us, divide us, and conquer us. That's what they want to do. I feel sorry for the African American population because they were victims of what the Democrat Party has done to them. It's not the Republican Party, it's the Democrat Party. These people are sick and they need to be taken out of office. The injustices of the daily life underlie the anger of many of today's protesters. Literally, the people protesting are protesting because they're told to. They're brainwashed. They're sheep. If you look at the Yellow Vest movement, if you look at what's going on in Hong Kong, they want to be like us. They're waving American flags because they see what's happening. This is biased news as from what I'm reading, my friends, and I'm sure you can see the same thing. In these circumstances, they said, it is no accident that Latin America, with the world's slowest economic growth and most glaring inequality, has exploded in the long-lasting violent protests. In Chile, where economic grievances boiled over into days of mass protests, an Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum summit was abandoned because of security concerns, because people are pissed off. This is why they're doing that. Chile has all these people coming in from these third world countries. I'm sure Chile is also third world compared to us, but they're having all these migrants come in. They're coming in there. They're R-ing people. I can't say that key word, but you know, they're killing people, murdering people. They are causing civil unrest. It's sickening, my friends. These third world countries are being overran by migrants. And that will not take place here because there's over 13,000 Mexican soldiers at our southern border. Everything is A-okay for us, my friends, because we have good governing. In Bolivia, the long-serving populist president Evo Morales was forced out of office in the country's by days of urban unrest. In Haiti, protests over corruption. In countries such as Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela, unrest is barely contained in the face of endemic corruption, and government failures to provide basic services. Again, it just proves my point. It's all within the government. It's not the people. It's the people who are running the people. In the Middle East, it is a similar story. In Lebanon, riven by protests for months, Prime Minister Saad Hariri was forced to step down. Notice the trend. People are stepping down. In Iraq, bloody protest over government failures to address inequality led to resignation of Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi amid risk of resumption of a civil war. All of these places are collapsing, my friends, except America. We're just going to keep booming. Elsewhere in the Middle East, the Egyptian regime of Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is under immense pressure from an exploding and impoverished population. Jordan has witnessed its own protests recently over economic hardship. Libya and in France, mass protests over presidential Emmanuel Macron attempts to address the country's economic malaise shows little sign of easing. They're not going to ease up, man. Macron, you might as well step down before you get hit in the face with an egg again, or much less a bullet, right? Elsewhere in Europe, unrest is barely contained. In Spain, tens of thousands of Catalonian independence protesters have taken to the streets of Barcelona in a tense standoff with Madrid. I'm telling you guys, in Russia, Eastern Europe, Africa, South Africa, Hong Kong, a proposed extradition law that would have facilitated the removal of those accused of crimes or misdemeanors to the mainland might have prompted mass protest. But at the heart of the demonstrations are economic grievances. Hong Kong's wealth disparities are obscene. I'm telling you guys, it's happening. And in Australia, in the midst of what may well prove to be the worst bushfire since white settlement, agitation over climate is exerting enormous pressure on the government of the day. Whether this is fair or not, the government is perceived to be indifferent to climate concerns. In a study of protest movements, the Brookings Institution found multilateralism flourished, global GDP rose, and the percentage of people living in the absolute poverty declined steadily after the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. Paradoxically, this was an era that was also sowed the seeds of present challenges. Advances in technology and globalization, spurred by lower trade barriers, boosted global GDP, but also led to the dislocation of middle-class livelihoods in many Western societies. Now, in the wake of global financial crisis, two critical dynamics have unfolded. First, the powerful democracies of the transatlantic community, which is garbage, the bulwark of the Western-led order, are facing political turmoil at home and setbacks in the liberal quality of their own governments. Get them out! Second, the democracies find themselves losing ground internationally to authoritarian powers bent on breaking the hold of the democracies on the character of the international order. This is not helped by administration in Washington that has yielded ground to the authoritarian dictatorships at a time of global unrest, in which stable leadership has hardly been more necessary. Guys, I don't know what's going on with Zero Hedge, but I don't like it, because what we're witnessing is an awakening here, guys. We're witnessing wages going up. The unemployment levels on all races, creeds, and colors have boomed, my friends. We are throwing tariffs on anyone who doesn't want to play by the books. We were the piggy bank. We are no longer the piggy bank, and I think this justifies it. We want to see the Yellow Vest movement succeed. We want to see Hong Kong rise from the ashes like a phoenix, my friends. This is what we want to see, and we will see it because we are all on the same page. My friends, if you found this informative and you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter at TRUreporting. Don't forget to leave a like. Please, guys, I can't emphasize this enough. Please donate to this channel by going to the Patreon or PayPal. We have the P.O. Box and TRUreporting merch. Guys, it's getting pretty scary out there. I'm going to be honest with you. So, just bear with us. Pray for our channels. Pray for us that we are here in the coming months and years, because, as I said before, Space Shot 76 did get attacked, and we just need to really just pray for ourselves. Pray for that we can get this news out to you guys and continue to move forward in the right direction. I will talk to you guys very soon. Have a wonderful day. Know that God is always in control, and I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful one. Bye-bye.